Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we have an exceptionally unusual stack of sources.
Yeah, it's quite a mix, isn't it?
It really is. We're synthesizing global governance reports, some really deep dive customs intelligence from the trade world, and a surprisingly practical guide on high-stakes legal communication.
It sounds a little chaotic, I know, but our mission here is actually very focused.
Right.
We're trying to extract these universal principles that, underpin efficiency, how big organizations manage complex knowledge, and really the essential rules for high-stakes correspondence.
And the link between all of them, a city bus route, contacting an attorney, it's that relentless challenge of maximizing impact.
Exactly, maximizing impact through clarity and, through data.
That's the perfect framing.
Yeah.
So let's start with those global efficiency gains, specifically digital government.
Okay.
The UN e-Government Survey from 2020 gives us a great snapshot, and the overall global trend is, it's overwhelmingly positive.
It is, yeah. If you look at the e-Government Development Index, the EGDI, we saw the number of countries hitting that very high-ranking jump.
Right.
Huge. It went from 40 in 2018 all the way up to 57 in 2020. That's a 43% increase in just 2 years for that top category. It really signals that national governments are rapidly embracing this stuff.
Okay, so that's fantastic progress at the national level, but here's where the data gets interesting. The local picture, it consistently lags behind. We looked at the Local Online Service Index, the LOSI, which measures city portals, and the average score is just 0.43, a pretty meager score.
And that gap, that highlights an enormous untapped opportunity. National governments have the resources, the mandates, but getting hyper-local government to integrate technology, that's where you hit funding hurdles, institutional inertia.
But when local government does commit to data-driven solutions, the result can be radical.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about the Boston bus algorithm, because this is just a perfect example. Boston Public Schools have the highest transportation expenditure in the U.S. We're talking $2,000 per student.
Wow. And the planning process was a nightmare.
A total nightmare. Every single year, a dedicated team spent 4 agonizing weeks doing it all by hand.
And that manual process isn't just extensive in terms of time, it locks the system into these inefficiencies. So when MIT stepped in, they developed an algorithm, they called it Quantum, that just used Google Maps data to optimize everything.
And the change was instant. That 4-week routing time was slashed to just 30 minutes. But what was the real
physical impact was massive. They were able to eliminate 50 buses from the
50.
That's an 8% reduction. I mean, think about the operational savings there. Fuel, maintenance, labor, and the environmental benefit was huge, cutting CO2 emissions by 20,000 pounds a day.
It's such a clear case of data solving a tangible physical problem.
Exactly.
And it's not just buses. We see this pattern in massive smart cities too. Take Hangzhou's real-time traffic management. They used video recognition algorithms to index the entire city.
So instead of building new roads, they just optimized the ones they had. They used AI to analyze the flow.
And the result.
Traffic speeds went up by 11%, and travel time went down by 10%. And when you multiply that 10% reduction across a major city, the value generated is just staggering.
And this even works for administrative tasks. Dubai's government deployed a chatbot, Ramas, which acts as a virtual employee.
Right. It instantly handles common citizen questions, which takes the pressure off human staff. And crucially, it learns from those interactions, so it's always getting smarter.
This is the core principle then, this shift toward data-centric operations.
It is. Whether it's routing buses or easing traffic, organizations are leveraging big data, AI, IoT-like Buenos Aires, using cloud systems for their smart lighting to solve these physical, civic problems.
And the pandemic just accelerated all of this.
It put it into hyperdrive. Suddenly, AI chatbots became virtual doctors doing triage. Online permits had to be created overnight. The urgency was there.
That makes perfect sense. But technology only works if the organization knows how to operate it. And this brings us to our next challenge. Managing institutional knowledge, especially in places like global customs.
This is where we run into the demographic time bomb.
What?
The demographic time bomb. Our sources show some countries are facing a situation where up to a third of their entire civil service is going to retire in the next 10 to 15 years.
Wow. So all that organizational wisdom could just walk out the door.
Exactly. It's an incredible risk to continuity and performance.
So organizations are developing these intensely structured systems to capture that wisdom. Tell us about the China Customs Credit System. It sounds less like optional training and more like a hard requirement.
It absolutely is. For officers at, say, the division director level or above, they have these really high minimums. We're talking 110 hours of off-the-job training a year.
Plus online hours.
Plus another 50 hours of online training. And they have to earn 100 knowledge credits from all that.
And here's the key,
Yeah.
right? They aren't just clocking hours. They have to pass a test at the end to actually get the credit.
Yes, that's the accountability piece. It ensures knowledge is internalized, not just consumed. But they also recognize you can't capture everything in a test.
You mean that tacit knowledge?
Yeah.
The stuff that's not written down anywhere.
Precisely. That experience-based know-how, that's just in the heads of senior officers.
But how do you capture something so, ephemeral?
They use these regular low-pressure meetings. The description is wonderful. They call it a discussion among friends.
I like that.
The whole format is designed to get people talking across generations. Senior officers share old solutions that aren't in any manual, and younger officers are encouraged to contribute ideas. It's about turning that tacit knowledge into explicit institutional memory.
That focus on clarity, on codifying the unwritten, we see that globally. The World Customs Organization has a maturity model for this, right?
They do, yeah. The Leadership and Management Development, or LMD, maturity model. It's a 5-level. Initial, structured, focused, strategic, and optimized.
And it helps them plan the years.
Exactly. If an administration is stuck at, say, the structured level, it means they have basic training, but it's all reactive. They're only training on what they need to do right now.
So what does moving up to strategic or optimized actually look like in practice?
It's a transformative jump. At strategic, they're doing foresight planning. They're not just training on current rules, they're actively developing future leaders, planning for change, and connecting it all to the organization's 5-year goals.
And optimized is just continuous improvement.
Continuous feedback loops, benchmarking, always innovating how they transfer knowledge.
Okay, now let's zoom into the ground floor of trade, to the customs brokers. They're the connective tissue in all this.
They're absolutely essential. In places like Lithuania and Bulgaria, they handle over 80% of all import and export declarations.
And the stakes for them are getting higher.
Much higher. With enhanced checking systems, risk rating algorithms, post-clearance audits that can happen months later, brokers have to get everything exactly correct the first time.
Because the consequences, the fines and delays, come much later, and they're much more severe. It feels like the system is getting tighter, which you'd think would reduce fraud, but the sources say commercial fraud is actually getting harder to spot. Why?
Because it's getting more sophisticated. The sources cite, for example, components used to make illicit cigarettes.
Okay.
Things like tobacco, special paper, filters. These are often legitimate, widely traded commodities. Customs can't just flag the inputs themselves.
So the risk isn't in the object, it's in the aggregation, the intent of the shipper.
Precisely. They have to rely on complex data analysis, risk profiling of suppliers, tracking the flow of commodities, not just scanning the boxes. This pushes security fully onto integrated technology.
Which brings us to advanced scanning. We're moving beyond big X-ray machines.
We are. The future is data informing risk-based decisions using integrated sensors and open interfaces.
And the cutting edge of that is computed tomography, or CT technology.
The same kind of scanning used in hospitals, but, optimized for cargo.
Why is CT so much more effective here?
It gives you increased material specificity. It can tell the difference between organic and inorganic materials, even different types of metals, with way more precision than a standard X-ray.
And that detail lowers the false alarm rate.
Significantly. If your system flags every crate as suspicious, legitimate trade grinds to a halt. A lower FRR means higher efficiency and better security at the same time.
That's a powerful overview of institutional clarity. Clarity in code, in knowledge, in tech. So let's pivot now to the individual listener, to a moment when you need that kind of clarity, communicating with an attorney.
It might seem like a sharp turn, but the principle is identical. It's all about maximizing impact through clear focus. The number one piece of advice from the legal resources was to cut through the noise.
Meaning skip the excessive formality and the technical legal language.
Exactly. It sounds counterintuitive, right? You'd think you'd want to sound formal.
I would, yeah.
But the main objective is just clarity, getting the core point across immediately. One customer said this advice helped them stop obsessing over how to write formal enough. They realized the lawyer doesn't care about your font, they care about the facts.
And the sources warn against wasting time drafting some massive initial letter. Why is that a mistake?
Because the effort just isn't worth the result. Lawyers are busy, they're triaging cases. The goal of that first contact is just to get a follow-up. So you focus on a concise pitch, something you can deliver in like the first 20 words of a phone call.
Where do people usually mess up that first pitch?
They try to be the lawyer. The classic bad example is trying to impress the attorney by citing some obscure law that fits the case.
Right.
A lawyer hears that and they immediately become wary. You don't know the full legal landscape they do. If you argue the law first, you're just wasting their time. And honestly, you're diluting the power of your facts.
So the winning approach is to stick purely to clear, high-impact facts, the kind that shows the severity of the case right away. What was the good example from the sources?
It's stark and it's powerful. Someone used our photographs of us to sell their goods without our consent. They're earning millions of dollars a year of sales with these ads.
All facts.
All facts. And then the question, is this the kind of case that this office handles? If not, who would you recommend? It's all about the pain points and the viability of the case. Zero law.
That fact-driven clarity is vital when time is literally ticking. To show the level of detail needed, let's look at that medical malpractice case, the one about necrotizing fasciitis, or NF.
NF is just terrifying. It's a deadly flesh-eating infection that progresses incredibly fast. It needs early diagnosis and aggressive surgery. Minutes matter.
In that New Mexico case example, what was the crucial factual failure?
The initial physician dismissed the symptoms as minor. The patient was presenting with a hallmark sign of a serious infection. Pain out of proportion to the visible injury.
What does that mean, pain out of proportion?
It means the patient's pain level was far more intense than the injury looked from the outside. That factual disconnect should have been a huge red flag. Subsequent doctors caught it, but the delay, that was the problem.
So the facts aren't just what happened, but how those facts were perceived and reported at the time.
Exactly. And the case highlights procedural urgency, too. The source notes that the New Mexico statute of limitations deadline is January 5, 2026.
That deadline is everything.
It is. It shows why that initial inquiry has to be compelling enough to trigger immediate legal action to get the mandatory medical review commission filing started. If your first pitch is murky, you risk missing critical deadlines.
That focus on essential, high-impact facts. That's the ultimate goal. Whether you're programming an algorithm for a bus route, trying to preserve institutional knowledge, or contacting a lawyer about a life or death case.
Clarity is currency.
It is. Reaffirming the value of synthesis, of targeted knowledge. That's really the takeaway here. Success hinges on identifying what's essential and presenting it with maximum force.
It's the highest form of efficiency, in a way.
We've gone from algorithm-driven civic efficiency to global institutional challenges. And finally, to the very personal need for concise communication. It really makes you think about how much of your own expertise isn't written down anywhere.
And here's the provocative thought for you to carry forward. We saw how organizations like Customs are constantly working to convert that tacit knowledge, the unwritten expertise, into explicit knowledge to mitigate risk.
Right.
So what crucial unwritten knowledge or expertise do you need to explicitly capture in your own professional life to mitigate future risks or drive innovation? Think about applying that facts over obscure law principle to your own learning. What's the simple core truth you need to focus on next?